Have you ever been to the conference and you see those people at the company booths who actually want to talk to you? Well, those are developer advocates, and they're there to help educate other developers. But what do they actually do day to day? Hi, everybody. It's your host, Samantha and Zona, and we're back with another episode that you don't want to miss on the Deeper Than Tech podcast, where we talk about how to grow your career in an industry that was not designed with us in mind. We'll be diving deep into this topic, but before you do, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe. What is developer relations? I often hear it called like DevRel as well. What is it?
Really good question. So developer relations or developer advocate are pretty interchangeable depending on the company you're in. But a developer advocate is pretty much a bridge between the engineering team of a company or product and the community of that product. And so an analogy I like to do is pretty much like think of like a PR person. Like, you know, celebrities have a PR and their job is to pretty much manage information about that brand or that product in a positive light. And so I would say a DevRel or developer advocate is someone that is pretty much the face of that product and pretty much helps paint that product in a positive light as much as possible. And so they're pretty much that bridge in between those two.
I love the analogy you gave, like somebody who's in like PR in the face of the company. What other responsibilities does a developer advocate have?
Developer, it's really cool because there's so many, I guess, different sub roles underneath the umbrella of developer advocacy. There are DevRels that strictly do writing, so a technical writer is underneath DevRel. If you love writing, if in tech, people, engineers, they need documentation to be able to understand how a particular product works. And so if you're a person that is really good at breaking down complex, because tech is very complex, and being able to take those complex concepts and make it easy and very digestible so that like anybody can understand, especially people who are not technical, you could do that as well. There are DevRels that are community managers, which is part of what I do. I have a community called the Zona Tribe, and it consists of people engineering, mostly software engineers from all range of their tech journeys, whether they're beginners or experts and professionals. Pretty much help manage and help people get the resources they need and the support they need. And so I do that. And also another pillar of DevRel is content creation. So if you love creating content, whether it's YouTube videos, or maybe live streaming on Twitch or YouTube of yourself like coding, learning publicly and things like that. There's TikTok is pretty big now as well. So if you love like creating cool videos, informing people on how to break into tech or different coding technologies or languages and and do it in a cool and fun and innovative way, but those are other roles that DevRels do.
What is your favorite role to play?
I would say my favorite is the content creation because I have a background in just creativity in general. I used to be like a photographer and, videos, film and stuff like that. And that's always fun. I love like editing videos and just pretty much anything that help where I could use my creative brain and create innovative ways to make something very complex as tech like fun. I think that's really cool. So I would say content creation. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that because we all need those YouTube videos. We all need those tutorials. So it's a nice outlet to learn in a different way. You also mentioned that there's tech writers are also a part of the DevRel, the dev advocate ecosystem. So do you need to know how to code in order to be part of this ecosystem?
I would say yes and no, as in yes and no. It's not really a required. There's plenty of DevRel roles that aren't very technical and that you don't need to be like an expert in coding. Maybe it's good to have the fundamental. That's why I said yes too, because being able, if you have a background in coding, it does help because mind you, like I said, you're the bridge in between, developers and the product. So if you're able to speak the language of engineers, that does definitely, you have an advantage at that. But there's definitely non-technical like DevRel roles out there. Like writing, like there's DevRels that, their job is managing the social media of the product. And so you don't really need to be a good coder to run like a Twitter or maybe a website or a blog or write blogs. Like that's not really a lot of coding. But I do believe that if you having a background in coding could definitely help for sure.
For those people who do have a background in coding, how often are they coding versus being that PR that you mentioned before?
Yeah, so at DevRel necessarily be coding as much as an engineer, a regular software engineer do, because that's solely what they're doing. That's their sole job, is doing that and getting results and things like that. Because a lot of DevRels, like there might be situations where you're just the only DevRel. There's jobs where like there's a team of DevRels, and there's jobs where it's just one person working many hats. And so like planning events, that's another thing DevRels do, like coordinating conferences or events or workshops, traveling to different conferences to hold workshops, the different products. But if you do want to be a DevRel and you don't want to compromise the coding, another pillar of DevRel is what's called the developer experience, or the DX engineer. And their sole purpose is to help enhance the experience of the developers of the products, that are being used, and pretty much like kind of be the support system. So if engineers, are having trouble with a particular product, they're there to kind of help walk them through and help with the solutions and walk them through. So that's, I guess, the most technical DevRel pillar of developer experience DevRel.
I've also heard this term called solutions engineer, and they seem to be kind of talking to companies and coding. How does that one work?
Solutions engineer, I think it's a bit different from DevRel. I could be wrong if someone's out there, because like I said, DevRel they're more focused on building relationships, mind you, DevRel relationships, whereas solutions engineer, they're really hands-on with the clients or customers. So it could sound similar, but they're more like pretty much like consultants in a sense, where like you come to me like, hey, I need like your podcast. Like, hey, I'm doing a podcast. I need to know what equipment I need and stuff like that. So solutions engineer, they're the ones that sit down with you. Okay, what do you have? Okay, you need a mic. You don't have a mic. This is a mic you should use. You need the Sony camera or whatever, equipment. So they help provide solutions to your problem and like that. Whereas DevRel is more, like I said, being the face and kind of, I don't know, like more of the management. They're more like focused on building relationships and kind of helping bridge the gap in a sense. Sorry, it took so long to kind of figure that out.
It's totally fine. Sometimes trying to make definitions of things, like we do it every day, but to describe what we do kind of gets difficult sometimes to put in words. But that's totally fine. Okay, solutions engineer is kind of a little different than DevRel. So that's good to know. Your analogies are on point today. First we have PR, now we have podcasting. I love it. I love your personality as well. So do DevRels need to have some type of personality traits that work well for the job?
That's a really good question, because I'm actually, believe it or not, an introvert. So I actually had this perception that DevRels were like these super energetic, like extroverted people that, are like kind of like social media influencers, in a sense. And because I put a tweet out recently about like whether introverts could succeed as DevRels, and I was really shocked. It kind of went pretty viral. I was really shocked at the responses of actual DevRels, that are introverts, and many of them are introverts, like really successful ones. Not to say like extroverted, DevRels are not successful and great as well. But yeah, that was something that kind of scared me, because naturally, like, I feel like I'm an ambivert. I've learned that I used to be very introverted, but I feel like as I grew up, I became kind of more in the middle, where I could kind of switch in and out, on and off, like my social like skills, but definitely lean more introvert. And so those people out there who, are shy and, feel and you're interested in it, yes, you can do it. And it's just, you just gotta kind of manage your social battery a bit, because this is a role where you are communicating a lot. And so there is public speaking, involved. And that's something that through past experiences that I had a former job where I did a lot of public speaking. And I think that helped me like come out of my shell, I guess, and be able to speak. And so if you're struggling with, I guess, public speaking and, you want to do this, I encourage you to put yourself out there. That's what I did. Putting myself out there, whether it's on Twitter Spaces, like these podcasts. Like, if this was like a couple years back, I would not be able to do it. I would be so anxious to do something like this. And so I feel like I came like a long way for sure. But yeah, you don't have to be this super energetic person. If you are, like, you definitely are at an advantage because, like I said, there is a lot of socializing, like doing conferences, speaking to people. Mind you, it's developer relations, so building relationships, so you do have to like socialize and things like that. But yeah, if you are like leaning introvert, like don't be discouraged. Like you can do this. There are many successful DevRels that are, you probably like see them a lot on Twitter and you wouldn't know, and they're actually introverts and you'd be like, what? Like, there's no way. But yeah, it's all about like managing, being able to balance, like, okay, socializing and making sure you have that time to recharge, your energy and things like that. I believe someone who's very empathetic is really good, is a really good trait to have. Someone who's very organized and disciplined, because it's a lot. I feel like no role in tech is easy. It's a lot of work for sure. And definitely making sure you have people surrounding you to lean on, when things get tough and things like that. So yeah, just putting yourself out there.
Oh no, I actually love that because I saw your tweet. That's kind of how I found you, is through that tweet, was, can introverts be DevRels? I am definitely an introvert as well, but I do speak on stage because it's like you kind of are acting, right? You're acting, at least for me, for like 30 minutes on stage. I could do that. And then you get to go back and recharge and be yourself again. So don't let your personality type stop you from doing something that you normally may not do. I love that. Where can somebody find out more information on how to become a DevRel?
That's really awesome. So there's this site, actually, it was really good. It's called whatisdevrel.com. And that was the site that really helped me, that breakdown. Because I've always seen the term thrown out like on Twitter and I didn't know what it meant, like the hashtag DevRel. I'm like, what is that? I thought it was like a coding language at first. And so, yeah, I think it's this DevRel. Don't remember his name, but he's from Vercel and created this site called What is DevRel, and it breaks down everything, like the 3 types of DevRel, which I mentioned, which is community, content creation, and the developer experience. And it also breaks down how to get a job on there and different resources as well that you could use. So whatisdevrel.com. I think that's the best site.
Yes, make sure you go check out that website after you hit that like button and subscribe. Thank y'all so much for joining us. See you next time. Bye.